All right, so we have day 6 of the Diddy trial. Day number 6 of the Diddy trial. And it's been said that Diddy walked in the courtroom today, hugged his lawyers, and it said it seemed like he's in great spirits. Now, the other thing about the situation is they're supposed to be calling his shelf to testify against him. The shelf, I don't know if it's a guy or a female, but the shelf, they said they've been assaulted as well. The shelf, bro. One day, they say Diddy got so mad at Cassie that he took a skillet off the stove and threw it at her or hit her upside the head with it or something. That's crazy. So I'm thinking when that story unfolded, that's why they want to bring the shelf involved, because the shelf had to been there. But we're going to see what day 6 was in the trial on this date. Let's get it.
Day 6 of the Diddy trial, and Cassie Ventura took the stand and testified for nearly a full day about her relationship with Diddy. And I believe that the testimony was more intense, more sensational, and I think more disturbing than I or just about anybody realized it was going to be.
And there was a shocking recording played in the courtroom today. I don't know in the courtroom if there was a reaction, but kind of give the context to that and what the reaction was.
Presumed innocent until proven guilty. That defendant, of course, Sean Diddy Combs, walked.
In what may be the most shocking moment yet in the saga of Diddy, CNN has reportedly leaked official courtroom audio capturing a moment of sheer panic from the hip-hop titan during day 6 of his explosive trial. As the public reels from the mounting accusations and disturbing testimonies being laid out against the Bad Boy Records founder, this audio leak marks a new and unprecedented twist in an already dramatic court case that is being watched by millions across the globe.
Day 6, Diddy trial. I'm gonna make this super fast because we have a short lunch break, but Diddy came in this morning, really seemed to be in good spirits, hugged his lawyer, Alexandra Shapiro, and Mark Agnifilo, and they had some discussions about witnesses getting certain testimonies struck. And at one point, Mark Agnifilo said something along the lines of that, this case is becoming based on gossip. He brought up the fact that there is a chef, Diddy's chef, is expected to testify, who was allegedly assaulted. And Agnifilo says, well, where is...
Diddy was beating everybody's ass, huh? Can anybody beat this nigga? He's carrying everybody a new asshole. Pause, sorry, no Diddy.
This in the indictment. This has nothing to do with racketeering, etc. And the government came back and said, look, the chef is a victim of forced labor. And there was a lot of discussion around this, but I want to give you one little piece of that before we go to Dawn Richard finishing her direct examination. Now, I'm going to make this kind of general, but Dawn Richard, she testified about the Cassie skillet incident with Diddy.
On the 6th day of Sean Diddy Combs' trial, Cassie Ventura delivered compelling testimony detailing the onset of their relationship. She recounted that at 19, after signing with Bad Boy Records, Combs, then 37, introduced her to a lifestyle marked by excessive substance use control. Cassie described being coerced into substance use and subjected to escalating misconduct, including orchestrated intimate encounters with male adultery workers, which Combs allegedly filmed.
Before I get into what she has already said, I just want to say that her husband is in the courtroom and the defense tried to get him removed, saying that they might call him up as a witness later. But the prosecutor pushed back, saying that Cassie is going to need her support system when she's on the stand. They ended up meeting in the middle, saying that he can stay, but he will have to leave once Cassie gets to 2018, where she alleges that Diddy had her. Now, throughout Cassie's testimony, it's being said that she was dabbing her eyes, she was emotional, and she was resting her hand on her belly. Obviously, we know Cassie as a 38-year-old pregnant woman, but she described meeting Diddy when she was just 19 years old. She was modeling in New York City, but after meeting, she signed a 10-album deal with his label, Bad Boy Records. She was very honest with her testimony. She talked about the fact that he was this larger-than-life entrepreneur, and she was a fan of his music. She said she was 21 when Diddy made his first move. She was in Vegas celebrating her birthday when Diddy, out of nowhere, kissed her in the bathroom. She was really confused. She was young and a new artist and didn't really know the lay of the land when it came to things like that.
She also testified about a 2016 incident where Combs aggressively
I
misconducted.
bet she wished like hell she can go back and change that night he kissed her. That probably when she fell for him.
Her in a hotel lobby, an event corroborated by surveillance footage. Her testimony painted a picture of a prolonged period of manipulation and misconduct, beginning from the very start of their association.
Yeah, this really was a full day of testimony. It's the centerpiece of the prosecution's case. Cassie came to the stand. She is, of course, pregnant, and she was ready to testify about the full course of her relationship with Diddy. And remember, they were together for 10 years. This was a decade-long relationship, and that will come into play when the defense has an opportunity to cross-examine her and ask her about the terms of that relationship.
The whole idea of consent, yeah.
But this was her laying out the narrative in the prosecution's case in chief. And she squarely addresses that beating video in the Intercontinental Hotel in 2016. But even before then, they go back in time and said, when did these really start? And she really painted a picture of the very first where she says she was 22 years old. This occurred at one of Diddy's homes.
That's been a long time.
It was highly directed. There was masquerade masks involved. There were escorts involved. There were at least 2 sessions in that first and the session was over when the escort, who had been paid for the services, was done.
The government is accusing Sean Combs of racketeering, sex trafficking, and transportation for the purpose of prostitution. And they painted a picture of how he ran his business and used his employees to conduct all of these crimes, including sex trafficking, kidnapping, arson. The defense, on the other hand, showed a different view of Sean Combs. They admitted that he has a lot of flaws, that he has a really bad temper, that he is guilty of domestic violence and sexual assault.
During her testimony, Cassie Ventura recounted instances highlighting Combs' intense jealousy, particularly concerning her interactions with other men. She described how Combs would become enraged over her professional and personal associations, perceiving them as threats to his control over her. One notable incident involved Combs' reaction to her communication with actor Michael B. Jordan during a filming project in South Africa. Cassie testified that Combs accused her of infidelity and exhibited aggressive behavior, underscoring his possessiveness.
At one point, Chris Brown's name was brought up, and it was mentioned in the context of Combs' defense team saying, you both would get jealous. And at one point, Diddy got jealous because you were dancing with Chris Brown at some sort of a nightclub or an event, and he took your phone. And he wanted to see what was in your phone. So this is one of many instances that we're hearing about jealousy. We've also heard from the prosecutors that Combs was incredibly jealous when Cassie at one point was dating Kid Cudi, when she was dating actor Michael B. Jordan. So,
but bro, that's normal. That is absolutely normal for a guy to be a little jealous over his lady. I think every man, that's not jealous. That's, if you take it too far, bro, then that's jealousy. But for him to be a man, who ain't no man want their ladies conversating with another man. He may trust the lady, but he don't trust the other guy. You see what I'm saying? It ain't the fact that he don't trust his old lady. But the guys out here are some vultures, bro.
you know, again, it's just another famous face that we're hearing about in the courtroom.
And I think people, when they hear that Chris Brown's name was brought up, expected it to go somewhere, but it kind of halted pretty quick and they moved on. Can you just kind of touch on that?
It was just a second. So there's so many headlines right now with celebrities being mentioned, from Michael B. Jordan to Britney Spears and now Chris Brown, but these are brief mentions.
This pattern of jealousy extended to other relationships as well, with Cassie detailing how Combs' suspicions led to verbal altercations and, at times, physical confrontations. Her testimony painted a picture of a relationship marred by manipulation and control, where Combs' jealousy served as a mechanism to isolate and dominate her. These accounts contribute to the prosecution's portrayal of Combs as someone who exerted coercive control over Cassie, using jealousy as a tool to maintain dominance in their relationship.
They're not really getting into really the nuts and bolts of it. And remember, these are celebrities. They went to huge parties. They were at nightclubs. They were at events together. So it's only natural that those are the names that are in their orbit. But again, some of these names are coming up to paint Combs as being a jealous boyfriend.
In November 2023, Cassie Ventura filed a civil lawsuit against Combs, alleging a decade-long pattern of mistreatment, including misconduct, physical aggression, and coercion. The lawsuit was settled the very next day for $20 million. During her testimony, Ventura expressed that she would return the $20 million settlement if it meant she could erase the traumatic experiences she endured, stating, "I would have agency and autonomy." Combs has denied all allegations and pleaded not guilty to charges, including trafficking and racketeering. The trial is ongoing, with Ventura's testimony serving as a central component of the prosecution's case.
She told prosecutors she'd give back her $20 million settlement to erase those experiences,
and that too was a lie. Come on, bro. You ain't Cassie. You've been a victim for a long time, but you ain't about to turn that $20 million back in, bro. You would not do that $20 million. That's a lie. I don't believe that.
The defense pointed to explicit text messages she sent to Combs to challenge her credibility. Prosecutors say her story, though, shows a pattern of control and abuse at the heart of the sex trafficking charges. Ventura and her husband, Alex Fine, released a statement after the testimony. Their attorney read it to the public earlier. Take a listen to a portion of it.
You did not break the woman who has made me a better man. I did not save Cassie, as some have said. To say that is an insult to the years of painful work my wife has done to save herself.
Combs' ongoing federal trial, his attorney introduced the possibility that Combs' previously undisclosed bipolar disorder may be linked to the alleged 2018 misconduct of singer Cassie Ventura. Ventura recounted that Combs acted strangely on the night in question, saying he wasn't in his right mind and failed to stop when she pleaded with him. When asked if she had suggested to investigators that Combs' behavior could be attributed to his bipolar disorder, Ventura responded, "I guess so."
And there was a brief mention about a bipolar disorder, which Sean Combs has denied in the past. Kind of talk about how he's denied this and wondering if maybe in the future of the trial we might learn more about it.
So there's been a lot of discussion about drug use on both sides. There's been a lot of talk about their state of mind and their mental health. At one point, Cassie talked about having gone to a treatment center for 45 days to recover from trauma that she experienced in the relationship. At another time, they actually talked about Combs going to rehab, and they talk about a video of him being in nature and trying to get help. But something interesting came up was when Combs' defense team referenced his bipolar disorder, and that's really the first time that we're hearing that he might actually have a diagnosed clinical condition. We know that he has talked about his temper, his mood swings. I mean, that's how he got his nickname, right? Puffy, because he huffs and he puffs.
Dawn Richard provided compelling testimony detailing alleged
That's how he got his nickname, Puffy?
And experience
That's crazy.
While working closely with Combs.
I think that's a lie, but that's
former
clever.
member of the groups Danity Kane and Diddy, Dirty Money, recounted multiple incidents of aggression directed at Combs' then-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. She described instances where Combs allegedly punched, choked, and dragged Ventura, including a 2009 episode where he reportedly struck her with a skillet during an argument over breakfast preparation.
Diddy's ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. Well, now we're hearing from the next witness. Her name is Dawn Richard. She will testify for the prosecution in just about an hour from now. Now, Dawn Richard, a former cast member on Combs' MTV reality show Making the Band and a member of Diddy's Dirty Money group, a former member. She testified last last week that in 2009, Combs beat Ventura and dragged her upstairs by her hair. She said at the time she then heard glass shattering and Ventura screaming. Now, we should note that Richard sued the music mogul last year, accusing him of physical abuse, groping, and psychological abuse during the years that they worked together. His representative denied the claims at the time. Now, Richard's testimony follows 4 days on the witness stand by Combs' ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. Cassie Ventura testified she was forced into drug-fueled freak-offs, as they were described, with other men at Combs' direction.
These testimonies shed light on the nature of Diddy's exclusive parties. These were described as private, highly guarded events where only trusted individuals were allowed entry. According to witnesses, what happened inside these parties wasn't just entertainment. It often crossed lines that are now being examined in court. Multiple testimonies described a pattern of behavior that left attendees uncomfortable, especially those working under Diddy's management.
Statements for Diddy's trial has officially begun. Prosecutors are done with their opening statement, and now it's Diddy's defense's turn. The federal prosecutor brought up Cassie's name immediately, saying that Diddy allegedly would have a worker urinate in her mouth during a freak-off. The attorney, Emily Johnson, also said that Diddy would force Cassie to have with male escorts while he sat there watching and recording. He said that Diddy would call the parties with these male escorts freak-offs, Wild King nights, or hotel nights. He said that his staff organized transportation and lodging and would set up the room with lubricant and lighting and would pay these workers with cash and provide them substances. He also said that Diddy was directing every step of this party and expected the women to act like they were enjoying themselves. When it came to Cassie, they say it all began at 19 when she had her hit single, and that he would often get violent with her. When Diddy found out that she was with another man, he flew into a rage, allegedly brutally beating her, kicking her in the back and flinging her like a rag doll, and blackmailing her by threatening to release a video of her of having with male escorts. Of course, brought up the surveillance video that many of us have seen and said that in one instance, Diddy stomped on her face in an SUV and made her stay in a hotel for a week to hide her injuries. They also say that if she took too long in the bathroom, he would beat her. They also bring up another alleged victim, someone who started hanging out with Diddy in 2020. She was a single mom, and she started to fall in love with him before she was exposed to these parties. They say that Jane Doe thought the first time she had a freak off that it was a one-time thing, but it wasn't. They claim that she wanted the escorts to use protection, but Diddy wouldn't allow it, so she would take substances to get through the parties. Feds claim that she had vomited once, but Diddy had forced her to keep going. They also say that Diddy was violent with her and that he would blackmail her with these tapes.
Combs' influence within the music industry has been characterized by a strategic use.
I don't see how Cassie's husband sit through all that, bro. He's a strong gentleman, bro. To sit through all this, to hear about your wife, I know he want to kill Diddy.
Power and wealth to maintain control over artists and associates. This control often manifests through financial dependency, career manipulation, and the enforcement of silence via non-disclosure agreements. Former Bad Boy Records artist Mark Curry alleged that Combs used the return of music publishing rights as leverage to secure NDAs from artists, effectively silencing them. Additionally, testimonies from individuals like Dawn Richard and Kerry Morgan have highlighted instances of mistreatment and intimidation, with Combs allegedly threatening harm to those who witnessed or spoke out against his actions.
Promised females or males careers in whatever they wanted to do, whether it was management, whether it was music, whatever it was. He promised them the careers, which a lot of the lawsuits say that. And a lot of people have heard the same thing from R. Kelly. You're going to notice a lot of this stuff. If you're not aware of R. Kelly's case, this is a lot of the same stuff that they got R. Kelly under. And where is R. Kelly right now? In prison, rotting away. So this is the exact same thing, just at a, of course, higher level because, R. Kelly isn't nearly as rich as Diddy and nearly as big as Diddy is. Continuing on, physical abuse by Sean Combs, the defendant, was reoccurrent and widely known. On numerous occasions from at least in or about 2009 and continuing for years, Combs assaulted women by, among other things, like striking, punching, dragging, throwing objects at, and kicking them. That Combs referred to as, among other things, so they literally mention it in the indictment. Proofs were elaborate and produced performances that Combs arranged, directed, and got off to. They're basically saying he was, pleasuring himself to this stuff, and often electronically recorded. So here's the thing. They're saying this stuff because they got video footage, and they talk about it a little bit later in a video that I'll show. In arranging these freak-offs, Combs, with the associates of members and associates of the Combs enterprise, transported and caused to be transported commercial sex workers across state lines and internationally. Freak-offs occurred regularly, sometimes lasted multiple days, and often involved multiple commercial sex workers.
A legal professional involved in Diddy's ongoing case has indicated that additional influential individuals may soon be implicated. Though no names have been publicly disclosed yet, this statement has stirred anxiety across the entertainment world. People are now wondering who else might be linked to the broader situation as these revelations continue to unfold. The idea that more well-known personalities could be named has created significant speculation and concern.
There's going to be people with crank calls and people with foolishness and people with malcontent, but we are sifting through that and trying to make sure that we identify and vet people that have real claims, legitimate, credible claims. Right now, we're talking about 120 people from 25 different states for conduct that occurred over 25 years. And a lot of these people were flown in. And this wasn't a secret. I mean, it was known that people were being flown in for these parties. People were being paid cash to attend these parties. People were being identified at clubs or at concerts or on the street even, and invited to these parties. So you have that group of people that are involved. And then you have another group, and maybe this is the more sinister situation where, young people with stars in their eyes wanting to break into the entertainment industry with promises of stardom.
Tanea, an aspiring singer, shared a deeply unsettling account of her experience at a high-profile party hosted by Combs. Invited by a Saudi prince, she arrived at the event to find strict security measures, including the collection of guest phones to prevent unauthorized recordings. Inside, she was selected to enter a private area, signified by the distribution of white shoes, where the atmosphere was chaotic and disorienting. Tanea observed individuals engaging in explicit activities, some appearing intoxicated or under the influence of substances.
And I see some little people, so I'm like, what's going on over there? They look dressed up, I don't know if it's a video shoot going on or what, but I'm just like looking like, okay, little people. And, not midgets. So I'm just thinking like, okay, I know I'm not tripping, I don't know. So I'm just like, whatever. I feel disgusted at this point because now I'm like, okay, this is some Hollywood shit and this must be some billionaire shit. So I'm not that up there. So let me just head on out because I'm not trying to be in the middle of all of this. I need to figure out what the prince about to do with me because it just seemed weird. And I just walked out because I still have my friend out there waiting on me. So it's like I seen what I needed to see and I just was disgusted. Now,
Tanea described the scene as reminiscent of something from a movie, highlighting the surreal and disturbing nature of the event.
That's crazy.
Her testimony adds to the growing concerns surrounding the nature of these exclusive gatherings and their potential exploitation of vulnerable individuals.
In this industry, we could see our favorite rappers doing bisexual things and we could feel like we still didn't see it. It could be right in front of our face and we still won't believe it. People could tell us, we can feel it and we still won't believe it.
I believe it. I don't know about you.
I'm like, this is some funny, weird, freaky shit. And at the end of the day, these people are some weirdos. I'm not with this, No. So I go outside. P. Diddy is outside on the couch with the prince. He's already just jacking off. Well, I don't know what I can say. And he's already just, feeling like, okay, she's been in there. She's seen, when people feel comfortable and you're on their playground, right? They like, so what do you think? Basically like, are you with this shit or what? Like, and I'm like, I'm not trying to be like the weirdo. It's kind of like when somebody offers you some at a party and it's like, oh no, I'm not gonna do that. You try to make it seem like I'm not gonna do that today. You guys are not weird. You guys aren't But, so I'm not trying to offend anybody, but I'm just like...
During the ongoing federal trial of Combs, several former associates and employees have provided critical testimony, shedding light on the environment surrounding the music mogul. One such individual, a former insider who was not a victim, offered detailed accounts of private parties, exclusive gatherings, and business meetings. Their testimony painted a consistent picture of Combs' behavior and the atmosphere within his inner circle.
What was announced today in court is there is a new alleged victim, but it's not necessarily what you think.
Victim 5 is how the government refers to this person, someone that they want to testify against Diddy. But it's not a victim of the crimes that he is facing in this trial.
There are 4 alleged victims for which Diddy is accused of violating the law. 4 of them, 3 ex-girlfriends, 1 ex-employee. This person is not somebody where Diddy is charged with assaulting her or committing any crime against her.
These observations have been instrumental in establishing a timeline and context for the allegations presented by the prosecution. The willingness of these individuals to speak out underscores the profound impact of the events, even on those not directly harmed, thereby reinforcing the credibility of the charges against Combs.
This is somebody who is going to testify, according to prosecutors, that this is Diddy's MO. Yeah. This is the way he operates.
That's exactly right. This is being referred to as victim number 5. It's not with respect to the charge offenses. It's what's called a prior bad acts or an MO witness under the rules of evidence. And they are going to allow her to testify in this trial. However, Judge Subramanian did say something interesting. He's not going to afford anonymity to this witness. So we'll have to see if that witness does take the stand. We're going to see who exactly that is.
The fact that they were asking for the anonymity makes me feel that that's something she wanted.
Probably.
Now, did she want, is she, now that she's not going to have it,
is it a deal breaker?
Is it a deal breaker for her? I mean, I'm sure prosecutors are going to be trying to convince her to still testify even without the anonymity.
Combs' recent courtroom appearances have marked a striking departure from his former flamboyant public persona. Observers have noted a significant transformation in his appearance, attributing it to the toll of his ongoing legal battles and incarceration. During the trial, Combs has been seen with noticeably greying hair and a matching beard, a stark contrast to his previously well-groomed image. Journalists and courtroom sketch artists have remarked on his thinner physique and more aged demeanor, suggesting that the stresses of the trial and time spent in detention are evident. One reporter described his appearance as astonishingly thinner and grayer, noting the dramatic change from his past appearances.
One thing that's been interesting during jury selection, Combs, like all criminal defendants, is required to be in the courtroom. And while he is known with this image of being a hip-hop mogul, kind of this icon who threw those elaborate star-studded white parties, his attire in court is very different. He looks almost like a college professor. His hair has turned gray. He's been in custody at the federal jail in Brooklyn, and he is not wearing clothes that you would expect a recording artist to wear. He's wearing gray pants, a navy blue crew neck sweater with a white collar popping out of the top of it, reflecting the seriousness of these charges that he's facing.
I have a photo of Diddy. I did not smuggle a camera into the courthouse in any orifice, but this is a Photoshop photo, truly just for reference. Like, the sketch artists weren't doing it, the koala wasn't doing it. So we took an original photo of Diddy, and this is what we think he looks like now in the courthouse. Like, this is what we saw. Mainly it's the hair. So it's more white, and then the sides of his face are not as hairy. And then he just looks really pale. I don't think that he lost that much weight. I feel like this is a good representation of the weight that I saw when I saw him in court. And then he's wearing the white collared shirt with a navy crew neck, but it's a little less V. It's more circular. But that's what we think he looks like.
This trial is exposing some shocking truths. What's your take on the leaked courtroom audio?
Wow, bro. Well, Diddy, I'm going to be honest, my boy. I'm going to be honest. To me, it sounds like you are a stone cold freak. You're a freak now. But at the same token, I really don't see no sex trafficking. I don't see the racketeering charges or the sex trafficking, like I said. The things that he's done, yes, is a little over the edge. It's a little freaky and very sexual exploited, but maybe a little domestic, a lot of domestic violence there, a lot. But I don't see the crimes that he's been accused of. So hey, maybe he will get off. Maybe he get a slap on the wrist for the domestic violence cases and stuff like that. But his lawyers is on top of it because they've been drilling Cassie. But this is day 6 update, you guys. Be back tomorrow for more.